Jenna.
Well, hi, Shelby.
And hi, book friends. And welcome back to Miss Willis Book Club.
Whoop, whoop.
Ooh. This is going to be a really fun one. We actually had this one suggested to us from one of our book club members.
Yeah, shout out to you, Haley. This is for you.
We love it. But today, we're talking about how to get some affordable books.
Books today have gotten so expensive. Like a single hardcover can be $25, $30 when you just buy them at the store. So it is fun to try and investigate some of the ways that you can make reading a little bit more affordable of a hobby. And I am super pumped to talk about them today because I think that we found a lot of really good ones.
Yeah.
And some of them you don't even have to have like any type of social following or anything for. They're available to anybody.
Yes,
so,
which is really nice.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that so many people felt that way too.
Yeah.
I mean, think about like your really pretty versions too. I mean, those are subscriptions, so you get other things with them. But I mean, how much is that a month?
Yeah, I mean, I know that Bookish Box is like $40 or $45 or something. I mean, it's pretty expensive. Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, we're going to give you some options on some affordable books that you can find. And yeah, I feel like we've got a lot. So this is going to be a completely spoiler-free episode. So I guess let's get into it.
Absolutely.
All right. Where do we want to start?
I feel like you got to start off with a classic.
Oh, yeah.
The library, friends. The library is severely underrated. And I'm even talking about the physical library.
Yeah.
And I think we're fortunate. Colorado does have a lot of really good libraries.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other areas that do too. But when I was living in Boulder, I was within walking distance of one of the library branches. And I checked out so many books from there.
Oh my gosh.
It was super convenient because they get all of the books that you could want to read pretty much. And a lot of times if they don't have them in person, you can ask or like recommend that they get them and they'll like buy one and bring one in too.
Oh, seriously? Oh, that's amazing. I did not realize that.
Yeah. So sometimes for like a brand new release, you might have to wait a little bit because there will be a wait list for those. But I don't know. I've had a lot of luck with that.
That's amazing. I have not actually been to a library since I've been living in Colorado. But when I was growing up, I definitely used the library all of the time. And I mean, it's free. Isn't a library card free?
Yeah, it's free.
That's amazing. So there's the cheapest option, I guess I would say.
Right?
Well, and then another really, is Libby? How much does Libby cost? Because
Libby is also free. So
I love
if you aren't familiar with Libby, it's an app that you can link your library card to, and you can check out digital stuff. So audiobooks and digital books for like your Kindle or any other e-reader, or your phone if you don't even have a Kindle.
Yeah.
So Libby is another great resource for that. Again, the wait time's going to get kind of long.
That's what I've heard.
But a really cool thing about Libby and like library cards in general is there's a lot of places where you don't actually have to live in that state or like county, and you can still get one of their library cards. So you can have like 10 library cards linked to your Libby account, and you can check out from any of them. So sometimes that helps a little bit with the wait times.
That's amazing.
To be able to balance it across them. And like I know in the state of Colorado, if you have a library card to one of the cities, counties, I don't even remember what they are. So like I have a Boulder library card. Yeah. That means I also can get them to any of the other cities in Colorado.
That's so
like I can also
nice.
get a Westminster one, I can get a Thornton one,
Yeah.
a Denver one, like any of those. You don't have to live specifically in that city,
That's so
which
convenient.
isn't true for all states. So that also helps for getting a bunch of different cards and being able to scan which ones have the shortest wait times.
Oh my gosh. That's been the one thing that I've seen on social media is the one gripe with people about Libby is that they've had to have a wait time for some of the books. And sometimes when that book becomes available, people are like, well,
I wasn't ready.
I wasn't ready.
I do feel like Libby is really bad for mood readers.
Oh, yes.
If you're a very like in the moment I want to read what I want to read type thing, Libby is not the one for you.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Oh man. Well, where else? I know that you found a lot of free books too. What are some of the places you found them?
So when we first started Miss Willis Book Club, that was one of the things that we were super excited about is not just getting free books, but making sure we were getting new books from new authors and being able to support those small creators and people who are just getting started in that space. And so I actually followed somebody on TikTok, and unfortunately I don't think that's a thing anymore, but she had a Gmail that you would fill out and you would put all of your information on, and she would send you like where to find e-arcs, and she would put you on a list to be put like to be sent some of these like small indie creator arcs.
Cool.
Yeah, and so a couple of the first ones.
So is it like a newsletter or like a subscription or something?
It wasn't. So it didn't cost a thing. It was I think it was like a Gmail page that like you would put your name in there, and then so it wasn't like a newsletter. It was like, we'll send you, I guess maybe that would be a newsletter. You put all of your information in, and then she would send you all of the information for the arcs, and you can choose which ones you wanted.
Nice.
And so when we first started, I got a few of those from that source, and it was really cool because it really opened my eyes. Like, I had no idea it was even a thing.
Yeah. So in short, other creators. That's a really good way to put that. I think there are a lot of other creators that share different places that you can find, especially digital arcs.
Absolutely. Yes.
Or review copies in general. Yeah. And in case you're newer to reading or you aren't familiar with the term ARC, which we're probably going to use a lot in this episode, an ARC is an advanced reader copy.
Yes.
And generally speaking, that's an uncorrected proof of some sort in the process before formal launch. Right. So sometimes ARCs will get sent out really early, and you might be getting like, there's probably some typos in there. Yeah. There might be some small changes before you get to actual publication date. And some authors will send ARCs really close to the publication date. Think of it more as a finished copy that you're just getting early. So it just sort of depends on the situation. But in case you hear us use that term, that's what ARC means.
And I think that's actually a really perfect time too, because there are also things called like alpha and beta readers. And so your alpha readers are going to be like, you're reading the first copy. Like, it's like just coming out of the draft.
Do it for the plot.
Do it for the plot. Yes.
That's how I think of alpha readers. I think of them as they're actually looking at like, is the plot going the right way? Does it make sense? Are you liking that? I feel like they're like that initial story arc type reviewer.
That's actually really funny.
What about beta readers? How do you describe them?
I would say, I want to say do it for the character development, but that's probably not true. It's honestly probably going through and correcting things and bringing up some things that you see that may not like click as much with the story. And so like, when we've been super close with authors and we've gotten these like advanced reader copies, if it comes out early enough, we're able to message the creators and be like, hey, FYI, there was this one part in here, insert sexy scene. And
I think that's my favorite memory of any of the arcs is when we read one of Amber Palmer's arcs. I think it was the Night Run thread. And we were dying. I think I sent you a Snapchat of it because it said like insert sexy scene here.
It was so cute. And then she like replied to us because we were like pretty close with her. She replied to us and she's like, oh my God, I already know. We had like 5 other beta readers like say this. It was so funny.
Pretty fun.
It was really funny. And that's the cool part about all this too, is if you do go that creator route, you create these relationships with these authors. And to me, that is just like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that bridges nicely into another place that is easy to get free books. And that's authors' street teams. And I know that you were on a street team for an author before, right?
Right.
So maybe do you want to describe what the difference is between just being an ARC reader versus being on a street team for an author? I love that.
So after we started the podcast, that was another one of the first things I ever did is I became a part of Danielle Cancel's street team. And basically what the difference is between that is you're getting these advanced copies. She's also sending you like a really sweet PR box. And so most authors do that if you're on their street team. But you're basically there to support this author. And so you are the first people that know about the updates to the book. Like usually they'll have like an Instagram group chat for everybody. And it's going to be like, hey, I did this today. Like this one's halfway through. We have a date for the next one. Here's the title. You guys are the first to know it. And then as it's coming up to the time for that book to be released, you are the people who are like promoting that content. And so most of the time they'll say, hey, you have to post 3, 5, however many posts before it actually comes out, just because then you have a surplus of people doing it as it's coming out.
So it's basically like copies of the book and PR packages in exchange for hype, right?
Yes.
For hyping it up on Goodreads or TikTok or Instagram or anywhere else that you might share book information, BookTube. But there's an expectation of the exchange there. If you get a book, but you're giving a review back too.
Yes.
Yep.
Exactly. And I feel like even the differences between doing a street team versus doing something else where you're also promoting the content is you get that firsthand knowledge. So it's not like you're getting this book and now you have to promote what you think it's going to be about. It's like you already kind of know what it's about because I think I got the first book like months and months and months before it even came out. And then we knew before the first book came out that the second one, we already knew its name. We knew what it was going to be about. We knew who was going to be the main character. And so you kind of get updates from the author, which is really, really cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
I also feel like maybe you can correct me on this, but it's more of an unsaid rule in my mind that true ARC readers, I think it's a little more encouraged to give like fully blunt, honest reviews for, right? And unfortunately, sometimes that does mean less positive reviews, but but I think that is an expectation that you're giving a really wholehearted review. Versus I do feel like street teams, it's more the author is picking somebody that they know probably will like their book.
Yes.
And they're really looking more for people that do in fact already like their book and want to hype it more.
Right.
More
absolutely.
so than giving a like fully honest review.
But sometimes even with a street team, like when I was first on the street team, I had no idea initially what it was going to be about. And so
it was totally blind.
It was totally blind, which was also really fun. But now that I have that information and now I know what a street team is, now I can decide for myself if that's the route I want to go or if we want to go with another route.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
Another really cool thing about being on a street team too is because these authors are just starting out, they'll choose people who necessarily don't have tens of thousands of followers on Instagram or TikTok or wherever you find each other. And so I feel like that's a really good option if you're like just starting out.
Oh, that's a good point. So
Yeah.
if you're a newer creator and you maybe don't have a huge following yet, that's still a place that you can get really involved and like close with an author and get the free books that people are looking for, but also might be attainable for a smaller account. That's important.
Also, I feel like that is a really good time to also say, start a book talk, start a book Instagram, like start one of those because you might not have so many followers, but there are so many opportunities and people that you can connect with that I feel like that is just such a great source of community and knowledge and
Yeah, just do it. Just start it.
Yeah, you don't have to have 20,000 followers on Instagram or TikTok to receive anything or to even be part of street teams, meet people. Like it's really, really fun opportunities.
I'd say that bridges into another really good place to get specifically ARCs also. Although I think exclusively digital ARCs, and that's NetGalley.
Yes.
So NetGalley is a website that is used by even some of the big publishers. So I think smaller authors and bigger publishers kind of across the board use that for e-ARC distribution. And for those, there is an expectation of if you get this book, you are expected to do a review by the publication gate. So be careful to not request too many and get overwhelmed. Because I've had that happen before. So don't get ahead of yourself. Only request as many as you think you can read.
Yeah.
But there are some really like big and popular books that you can get like e-ARCs on your Kindle and stuff for free on. And I found that's another really good place to get ones that you want to read.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's really awesome too. And even just having your Kindle, you do not have to have like a Kindle Unlimited, which we'll get into later. You can get these NetGalley ARCs and like authors, if you have a Bookstagram or a Book Talk or whatever, they will reach out to you and be like, hey, this seems like something like up your alley. And they'll send it to you and you're able to download it on your Kindle. And so there are a lot of free options on the Kindle too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And I guess then going back to physical ones, one that we skipped past was probably closer to libraries. So many cities have book swaps as fun events that you can find through anywhere that you find events on social media or anywhere else. Like I know that Denver has a big Denver book swap that I follow on Instagram and TikTok too. But that's another great place to get books, because if you have ones that you've already read and you're not necessarily trying to build up your library, or you had ones that you read and you weren't a big fan of but somebody else might like, you can bring them in and swap them for free, and that's a great place to get free physical books.
That is absolutely right. Or join a local book club, because like our book club, we did book swaps.
Yep.
Have we done 2 of them? Or did we only do 1?
I don't remember. We've done I think we've done 2.
I think so as well.
I think we're doing another one in December too.
I think so too.
On that note, plug for the local Denver book club. if you want to join us for our December book club meeting, that is going to be on When the Moon Hatched, and it is December 6th, 7th? Beginning of December.
It's
Check out our
beginning.
socials. We'll share. But I'm pretty sure I heard the girls say they wanted to do a book swap for that too. So
I think so too. So I think that'll be super fun. And plus, When the Moon Hatched, I feel like that has had such a moment on TikTok, and
I'm excited for that.
I am so excited for that one.
Well, I think we've talked a lot about ways to get free books, even if you don't have any type of following or maybe have a really small account. So maybe we should talk about ones where now you've gotten a little established. You've maybe found yourself a little community. Yeah. We're talking more like 5,000 to 10,000 or more followers. Yes. What are some other ways that you can get books?
Well, as we kind of talked about before, if you get these free books, they are going to expect a review. And so one of the ways I feel like we get a lot of our free books is going to be NerdFam. And they're awesome. They have such a range of books on there. And unfortunately, you do have to have a little bit of a following because they want to see that you're actually interested in the topics that they're going to send to you and that it'll actually get out to some followers. And so, yeah, I feel like that's been a huge way we've gotten a lot of books.
Yeah. So NerdFam is basically a like marketing promotional company that works with indie authors, and they've also worked with some like formal publishers also, and they send out promotional content to large creators to build up hype, usually like right before or right at release time. I know I've gotten some arcs, but after the release date. So it's sort of around that time. And those are boxes that might include like art prints or bookmarks. We've gotten like candles, like all sorts of fun little things in the boxes, along with usually a book. And so like a couple examples that I've gotten from them. Sometimes NerdFam will send a completely finished copy. So this example here is Goldson by Evelyn Knight. And
oh my gosh, did I not request that one? That one is beautiful.
Yeah, this one I think is like, I want to say this is the, not mafia, but it's something that's like a, you know, rich and naughty. I think it's like a brother too, like she like, falls in love with somebody's brother. But yeah, I'm excited.
I think when that one came out, I'd had so many backed up that I was like, okay, I need to get through some before I request them. Because what they'll do is they'll send out kind of like a newsletter. I feel like they're switching more to a newsletter. But before they would send us just like the one copy, and they'll be like, here's
it's like an email subscription.
An email subscription. That's a perfect way to put it. And so they'll be like, hey, do you want this? And you can say yes, or you can just delete the email.
Right. So they'll send out an email, and it's got a little summary of what the book is about, you know, when the release date is, what types of copies they might be sending out. Sometimes it's just a book. Sometimes it's an e-arc. Sometimes it's a full promotional package. And then there's usually a form that you can submit your information along with your socials on, and they choose whether or not they want to send it to you from there. So you can show interest.
Right. But, and that's why this includes like a little bit more of a following is because that's what they're looking for.
Right. Yeah. So sometimes you'll just get finished copies that look just like the regular one that's available. We've also occasionally gotten special editions through there. So for example, I think Leah Stone and Julie Hall, or at least Leah Stone, I think I've actually gotten 2 special editions from NerdFam, but like these ones have really shiny edges if you're watching the video on this. So sometimes the books might look like that. We've also gotten really popular books.
Yes.
So for example, The Road of Bones, I think really had a moment this year. And this was a good example of, even after the first book came out, they sent a full PR package when book 2 was coming out. And so you got a copy of book 1 and a digital arc of book 2. So it's a whole range of what you might get.
It is really cool. Yeah, it is a huge range. And it's been really fun too, because since these are brand new books and people haven't read them yet, sometimes it takes 6 months to a year for it to even be popular. And it's like, oh wow, I got that one as an e-arc. Like one of them that we got from NerdFam was Blood and Ether. And neither one of us have read it yet, but I mean, we got it months ago and now people are starting to talk about it, and it's like, oh, we have that one. And so that'll be really cool to talk about, because I think that'll have its moment.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's see. We've got NerdFam, which is going to be kind of more of like your general email subscription. I guess next we want to talk about reaching out to specific publishers.
Yeah. Well, and first I'll even put the shout out that a lot of publishers do giveaways.
They do.
I don't know. I think some people apply to every giveaway that they see on like Instagram or anywhere else. I, generally speaking, had not been that type of person.
Me neither.
But now that I follow kind of a lot of authors and publishers and whatever else, it's like my like feed is none of my friends and almost entirely other
really?
but a lot of publishers and authors do free giveaways, and they are real. And I'll say, like, I got The Gale by Lil Meyer. This one was just a giveaway on her account, her personal account that she did, and it was a free book that got mailed right to me, which was super exciting.
And that one was cool too, especially because we've both been following the author for so long it's been so cool to see her like writing journey. I love it so much.
Yeah. And then some of the larger publishers will do it too. So for example, Bramble, before we were big enough to actually get sent by books by them, I won this off of their Instagram giveaway.
That one's having a moment too.
Yeah. So I had also gotten this one as a very early arc.
And that one's The Coven.
The Coven by Harper Woods. Yeah.
Doesn't Harper Woods have another really big series out, or is that the big series?
I don't remember. I think the Cursed is the second one that has already come out too. So that might be what you're thinking of.
Oh, I love it.
But yeah, so this one, it came out in August, and I think I probably got it in like June or something. I mean, I got it really early, so kind of cool. So if you're interested in that, I do recommend following the like big publishers. Like that would include Tor, which has Bramble and Red Tower and Entangled, if you're familiar with any of those.
Red Tower is the one that does Fourth Wing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I guess maybe backing up a little bit, should we talk about just like some of the publishers or like some of the things you might find from different imprints and publishers, you think?
Yeah, we could do that. Definitely.
I think of it sort of like if you follow music at all, you know, that's like music artists will like sign with a label, right? And like the label might have a certain type of sound. And I think of imprints from publishers being the same idea, right? And so like Entangled is one of the imprints from Tor that is very focused on like romance or fantasy romance, or it's like got that kind of spin on it. Red Tower, I think, has a lot more of like new adult fantasy romance kind of
Fourth
vibes.
Wing.
Like Fourth Wing is a good example, or Five Broken Blades. That was also Red Tower. Yep. And then what was the other one? What's
a popular one with Bramble?
I gotta look. I know I've got some, but I never remember.
I know I never remember.
I think of Bramble similarly to Entangled. I know that's not really true, but Firebird, that one we just got, that was Bramble. And I kind of want to say The Game Gods Play that might have been Red Tower. Yeah. But it still fits in a lot of times the like upper young adult, new adult, maybe like lower adult, with a little bit of a romance spin, I think.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Well, and then Tor is going to be more like
adult,
adult, like fantasy, not really romancy. I feel like
it kind of depends. So Tor and like Tor.pub or whatever, they've got like a couple different ones. I think it depends within there. Like you get a lot wider ranges of fiction within there. But since we tend to spin mostly towards fantasy, I think that's what we see. But I also see some big adult fantasy or sci-fi come out of Orbit.
Oh yeah,
that's another one that I think I see a lot from.
Yeah, that's cool. Yep. And then we also have, of course, our beloved indie authors.
Of course.
Oh, we love it. And that's going to be where they're not actually traditionally published with like a big publishing company. They're doing it all on their own.
Exactly. So they're doing all of the like figuring out where they're going to print their book. They're figuring out who's going to edit it, who's going to make the artwork, who's going to, say the audio, all those things they're doing on their own versus like sending it off to a publisher.
Yes. And I feel like sometimes like having that creative ability to do whatever you want is really great. But you also have the perks of being with a publisher. And so kind of has its pros and cons. And we've got tons of episodes with our authors if you guys want to go check that out, because I feel like they both kind of have their own spin on it. So,
Good point. Well, with that, do you want to talk about maybe like reaching directly out to publishers in general? So not their giveaways, but reaching out to them directly.
Yeah, definitely. I think, who did we do that with? You did that with Tor, which you reached out directly to them. I have directly reached out to authors. And I feel like that's been pretty cool. I had an author reach out to us on TikTok and then received like her whole series, which was amazing. And sometimes when you reach out directly to them, they'll either put you to their publisher or they'll give you their books directly, and they'll just be like, hey, what's your info? Let's send it over. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah. Some of the publishers, if you want to reach out to the bigger ones, I've just done a lot of Googling, to be honest, to like find any email that happens to me. And I work in engineering. I'm not a cold calling kind of person. But sometimes you just have to like say it confidently.
Yep.
And so it has helped a few times that I, share like what we look into, what our network looks like, the type of people who might listen to it.
Yeah.
And what types of books we tend to read. And that was how I got signed up for Bramble, Red Tower, and Entangled all together, because they were like, cool. These are the types of books you like to read. You probably would like these 3 imprints specifically. So
very cool.
Yeah. But I will say, even if you aren't on one of their big like distribution lists, because sometimes I just find something in the mail that I didn't even request,
Same.
But even if you aren't on that, kind of like you were saying, don't be shy to reach out to a specific author, because especially if you like read the first one, you really want the sequel or something. I think that can be really successful too, of getting like physical copies or electronic copies of like, sequels, if you already know that you like the first one.
And as you were kind of saying before too, if you follow these big publishers on social media, a lot of the times they'll have a link if you want to be like on their like newsletter or whatever. And so you just have to fill that out. And so I feel like that's how we've gotten a lot of like books that we didn't even request, is because they're like, oh yeah, we'll send that out.
Right.
Might as well.
Yeah, it's been fun, and they've been some good ones.
Yeah, there have been a lot of really good ones.
Yeah.
That's probably been the biggest reason we've gotten so many copies, is just because I feel like you did a lot of reaching out.
I did.
But then it's funny because
I did reach out to a lot.
When we give our information, now I get them to my personal email too. But I feel like they came from our work.
Our Miss Willa's.
Yeah, Miss Willa's email first. So.
Which, speaking of, if you're listening to us and there's anything that you want us to read or want to send us, our contact information is always linked in our bio, but it's Miss Willa's Book Club
at gmail.com.
Yeah. Super easy.
Super easy.
Yep.
But yeah.
Sweet. So the only other one that I've got for like free books, and this is with like a little bit of a caveat, is being a subscription box quarterly rep. So different. If you've ever seen any of people's like pretty books, kind of like this, like that have usually they'll have sprayed edges. Sometimes they have alternate covers. Sometimes they have like artwork in the ends. It just sort of, I don't know, or like they might get things like this with it. A lot of those are coming from subscription boxes, and some of those boxes are things like Illumicrate, Owl Crate, the Broken Binding, Bookish box. Like there's tons of different ones out there.
There's like a darkish something one that's like a newer one.
Darkly. That's part of the Bookish box.
Oh, is it?
Their adult one.
There was a new one out, but I don't remember the name of it. So anyway.
Yeah. But especially if you're really good at Instagram or like taking really aesthetic photos, you can apply to be one of their, not all of them are quarterly reps, but I think a lot of them are. And basically they'll like send you one of the boxes for free in exchange for taking a bunch of really cool photos, and then they'll use your photos in marketing. So those are also like fun accounts to follow if you like seeing any of that, because they always look really pretty all laid out. But that's another good place.
That's so cool. You know who I think needs to do that? Lexi.
Oh my gosh, I love her. It's like Lexi
on Book Talk or something.
Oh my gosh, and she always has the cute little bow on the back of her head too.
I know, she's
oh my
so
gosh,
cute.
She's precious. I love that. Her transitions
are
on TikTok
so perfect.
Are so good.
Literally perfect.
I don't know what it is. I'm so obsessed with her account. I think I like every single video of hers.
Me too. She's literally
so shout out to you, Lexi. We love you.
Shout out, Lexi.
Don't know us, but we love your account.
You should be on one of those book boxes.
She should. She really should.
I love it. Well, I guess so that might be everything that we could do for free.
Right.
So not bumping into kind of that next tier. I feel like the first and the most common one is going to be Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah, KU is a great place. It's I think pretty affordable for what you get, assuming you read a lot.
And that's kind of, we've talked about it in some of our other episodes, but it is kind of like you have to read a few books a month to kind of get the most of your money's worth out of it, because is it up to $13 a month now?
It's gone up in price a little bit. It used to be like 10, but it definitely has gone up a few bucks.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely a lot of pros and cons with Kindle Unlimited. There are a ton of titles on there. I read the entire Broken Bond series on KU, But unfortunately, it doesn't have like A Court of Thorns and Roses or Throne of Glass or Fourth Wing. Like it's
actually, it does have Fourth Wing.
Shut up. Really?
Yeah, I was going to say, I've been really impressed recently.
Ooh.
There have been a lot of stuff that KU has been putting on, including like Fourth Wing was one of the ones that I like got it in my email or whatever, that it was newly added, and like the game's got its play and a couple other like new releases.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I think that they've been getting more.
Even better.
Right. And if you just buy a popular Kindle book, a lot of them are like at least $7 or $8.
Exactly. They're so cheap.
I feel like if you read like 2 books a month off KU, it's worth it.
Definitely worth it.
And I do think for me, it's made me more willing to try lesser known novels because like ones with like less ratings or something, because if I don't like it, then I'll just return it and be done with it and it's fine. But it's made me more willing to try. So that's one pro about KU.
Yeah. And I feel like the Kindle you can literally take anywhere too and have some spicy books on there that people don't necessarily need to see on your trophy shelf. It's a huge joke within, I feel like, our connection here, where you always have the spicy books on the Kindle because you can read them late at night and not have the lights on.
Right. Well, and because I just, no hate to people who do those covers, but I don't really want covers with naked men on my bookshelf.
I don't blame
or
you
shirtless
at
men
all.
or whatever.
That's what they usually
It's not the vibe. Not the vibe for my bookshelf. That's for my Kindle only.
Right. Which I just saw that since Sarah Kate is, I believe she's changing to a traditional publisher. She's changing all of her title or all of her covers.
Oh, I'm curious. I guess what they're going to look like.
Well, they're not as, I'll cut it out, but.
Are they discreet covers now?
They're, very discreet. And it's sad.
Is the praise, it's not the one with the shoe, right? Because that's her old covers.
Is it?
Or if that's what you're talking about. It's like hot pink with a shoe, high heel.
Yeah.
That's her original covers.
They're changing back to it.
Nice. I like those better, to be honest.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
She has, because I think she used to have discreet covers and then got the other ones. Like,
oh, really?
Because praise is a little bit older. Like that book is.
Oh, I guess it is a shoe. I didn't realize it was a shoe. Yeah, so spicy books on the Kindle. That's where you go. That's where it's at. Nice. What have you got next?
And if you're an audiobook listener, I didn't realize this until a couple months ago. I think it's pretty new, but if you have a Spotify subscription, I think you have to have not the free one or the cheap one. I think you have to have like a full subscription. You get 15 hours of audiobook listening, and they have a lot of really popular books on audio there to listen to.
That's one of the biggest ones that I use because it already comes with the subscription that I have. And it's really like literally all the popular books I've been listening to has been on Spotify.
It has. I listened to Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez and I listened to Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. And I feel like both of those are like very big authors that I was able to listen to. Right. So I thought that's been a huge bonus for me, even though I didn't used to be an audiobook listener, but it made me more willing to listen to them again because it was like, felt free because I was already going to pay for it from music anyway.
You're turning Jenna into an audiobook girly.
Slowly. Well, because it's nice. I'm like sitting there and like cleaning my counters and I like pause because there's like an intense moment in the book.
Right. And it's so cool. And so for anybody who says that an audiobook does not count as an actual book, I disagree with you because I love to sit and read, but you guys, I have things to do. I have things going on in my life and I'm like, I can't just sit and read a book all day long. Like I have to also get some chores done. I have to clean the house. And I feel like when I'm listening to an audiobook, I am more productive.
Yeah. I also think that what makes an audiobook feel more like a real book than if you were like watching TV or something is you still are having to use your imagination. Like you're still picturing this story running in your mind. So while you're not physically reading, I think that's what makes it count as a book to me.
I think so too. I absolutely think so too.
Oh, I love it.
Then another way you can get your audiobooks is the Audible monthly credits. And I feel like
I don't do that one actually.
You don't?
No. Because you only get one book, don't you? And it's like pretty expensive.
Yeah, it is like $18. But a lot of the audiobooks are actually like $36 a piece.
Holy cow.
I'm not even kidding you.
I didn't realize audiobooks were... Okay, well, another pro then for Libby in the library. Because I know you can get audiobooks for free from that.
Right.
That's
or even
so expensive.
Spotify for it being free for a book. Audiobooks are not cheap.
Wow.
They're expensive. It's like almost like, so right now I am listening to the Spark of the Everflame, like the third book in that trilogy. Ooh, yeah. So good. It's 26 hours long.
Yeah.
It was $36 just to buy. And so technically you're getting it for like half off.
Oh, I gotcha. By having the Audible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll do there. I keep getting the emails of like, you can get 3 months for 99 cents.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do that and cancel after.
Definitely worth it.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yes.
Well, okay. On the Amazon front then, because
Yes.
Audible is owned through Amazon. If you have an Amazon Prime subscription, then Amazon First Reads, which is like 6-ish books that they give you. Like I get sent the email for it too, but they have like 6-ish books, sometimes a little more or less, usually of different genres. But there's like most of the time some type of fiction, some type of thriller. There's like usually a romance in there. Sometimes there's a kid's book. Like it just kind of depends.
Okay.
And you can pick one of them for free, and it's an ebook that you can get sent to your Kindle for free.
Cool. Is it like an ARC then?
No, I don't think so. Because sometimes they send them out a couple days before their release date, but it's
Okay.
usually like brand new books, which is why it's like
Gotcha.
first reads. I think it's because they're supposed to be
Okay.
like brand new. And I
Very
think I've
cool.
only read 1 or 2 of them so far, although I've downloaded them every month.
Yeah, right? You're like, I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it.
But they were pretty good, and they get pretty good
Cool.
ratings. So
That's
a good one.
amazing. I didn't even know about that one too. So I'm like,
I'll show you where to
adding
sign
another-
up for it. Maybe we'll have to do like a little
Perfect.
video or something to show how to
Oh, I
sign
love
up for it,
that.
'cause it's super easy.
Yeah.
And then on a similar front, there's also just Amazon Prime Reads, which is different than KU.
Okay. What is that one? I haven't even seen.
Haley was the one who was telling me about that.
Seriously?
So
okay.
there's other books that are not Amazon First Reads, not KU, but are like also free to download for Amazon
Very cool.
Prime members.
Huh. And if you guys are interested, we do have comments below on like our actual podcast. And so if you are wanting to learn more, put it down below and we will respond to that comment on how to do that. Another easy way if you guys have questions about how to get these. So yeah.
So fun.
Very cool. Wow. I didn't even know that Amazon offered so much for books.
Free. Yeah.
That's so cool. Wow. All right. Well, what do we want to talk about next? Should we do-
I mean, that's all I've got for kind of including in subscriptions. There's a few
Yeah.
other places I could just give recommendations for how to get books for cheaper.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. One of the ones that I have that I know both of us have this subscription, although I did just pause it, is Book of the Month. And I feel like this is a really cool way to get books that aren't necessarily super popular yet. And it's a great place for thrillers.
yeah, I don't even think it's not very popular yet. They just, generally speaking, pick only brand new releases.
Yeah.
And sometimes they come out, again, a few days before the release date. I'd say they've been a little bit hit or miss for me. The
Yes.
thrillers are almost always a hit.
Almost always, yes.
And they have picked up a lot more fantasy recently.
Right.
Like just this year. Because I think I've had that subscription for at least 4 years. I mean,
Look at it.
if you guys ever watch our videos, I have like half of one of these, like down to here over there is like only Book of the Month.
Yes.
But I think their thrillers are great. They are getting more fantasy. Phantasma
Yes.
was a...
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And The Road of Bones I think it got picked up by a traditional
my
publisher. It was
gosh.
a book for must have been November, I think.
See, I'll have to go in and buy that one because
Right.
I really want that one because I remember not asking for that one.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, bummer. Like it ended up being so big. Like I should have gotten it.
Future episode.
I know. I've just heard such great things about the Road of
Yeah.
Bones. Like definitely a future episode.
But I'm with you though. I think Book of the Month's a great place too.
Yeah.
It's like about $15 and you get a hardcover, a brand new hardcover.
Yep.
Not bad.
Yeah, it is really nice to like help build up your library, like we were kind of saying earlier, because that's one of the ways that I started doing it too.
Same.
And every month you get a new book.
Book of the Month was what got me back into reading.
That's exciting.
Yeah, my sister bought me a like 6-month gift subscription for like Christmas or something. It had to have been, I don't even know, 2018. So maybe I've had that subscription for longer. I don't know, 2019. But yeah, that was literally what got me back into reading as an
That's
adult.
amazing. That is amazing. Yeah, it's been really cool. I've read a ton of thrillers off of there. I still have a couple of fantasy ones that we haven't got to you, but
Same.
it's like on our list. But yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff.
very
Yeah, good
option.
suggestion. Also a classic. Can't talk about cheap books without talking about secondhand or thrift stores.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And I'm going to lump in with that estate sales, which seems like a funny thing, but if you're any type of like garage saler or a thrift book shopper, you never know what you're going to find. And I say that because that one I was showing earlier, that was the example of Illumicrate. This was the Jasmine Throne. And when I got this book, I got like 10 Illumicrate copies for literally $1 each.
Was this at the thrift
Estate
store
sale.
or a estate sale?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It was, I mean, you just never, somebody clearly had a collection. And
Yes.
somebody else had gotten there before me, and so they picked up a lot of them, but I got a lot of good ones.
Well, you even, when you went thrifting last year, I think
Yeah.
it was around when I had surgery on my birthday or something.
Yep.
You got an original A Court of Mist and Fury.
I did.
I treasure that one so much.
I know. That's
Or like original covers.
You never know from thrift stores. Yeah, I found, I think, 4 different copies of like some form of ACOTAR, one of the books from ACOTAR, in their original covers, and I even found hardcover original covers.
Oh my
there once.
gosh.
So it's worth looking sometimes.
Yes.
You know, it can be hit or miss, but I found
Definitely
lots
try.
of good ones. Yeah, it's worth trying.
Oh, that's so cool. That's all I've got on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about what I've got. I'd say my last takeaway,
Yeah.
if you're trying to build up your library and that's part of why you're looking for less expensive books, a tradition that we started between the two of us was we don't really give each other cards for things anymore. We just give each other books and we write the note in the front of the book.
Yeah.
And greeting cards are just so expensive now that really getting a book is like not that much more expensive than getting a card. And it's like sentimental. Like a lot of, you know, you're going to throw away the card at some point. You're not going to hold on to that forever.
Yes.
But the books we treasure and then we have as a special moment. So
And we always like write little notes in the beginning of them too.
Yeah.
And it's always just so special and precious.
it is. So
And it's like you're getting something you want to read anyway.
exactly.
And you're getting something that is like clearly thought out. Because I feel like giving somebody a book can be totally hit or miss.
It can. You have to really know their taste.
You do. So it's like almost more special anyway.
I agree.
Oh, I love that.
So I recommend, like, if that's something you like, start that with your friends and family too. Because I think that's been a fun tradition to have to
I think so too.
get more books.
I totally agree with you. Wow, so many affordable ways that I didn't even know you could get. Mm-hmm. That's very exciting.
Reading doesn't have to be expensive.
No, it doesn't.
And I hope that we taught you that today.
Yes, it can be very expensive.
It can, but it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be. And we want everybody to be included in this community. So.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Well, thanks for joining us. I hope you found some less expensive ways to continue your reading habits. And if you have others that we didn't think of, please leave a comment on Spotify or shoot us a note on our email, anywhere else. We love to get more suggestions.
Amazing. We'll see you guys next week, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.